Mama, I love you. You always have my back. You're really amazing.
Do.
You're the best partner I could imagine.
Leave, and it's personal, and it was hurtful. You also worked with them to oppose busing. You know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools, and she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
I was offended when Vice President Harris, when she was run against President Biden in the primaries, I was offended when she all but called President Biden a racist for not supporting getting 10-year-old kids up at 4:30 in the morning and busing them for 2 hours. Lots of Americans opposed, black and white opposed the busing. She called him a racist for it. I thought that was racial demagoguery. This is not helping our country. It is not helping our country at all. And I'll just say this, the American people are getting pretty tired of being called a racist or a traitor or a Nazi because they don't agree with the president's woke neo-socialist agenda. And that is why his poll numbers are on a journey to the center of the earth. And he needs to stop it.
Where do you see yourself this year going forward with immigration? What are your expectations?
So it was one of the first things we did as an administration, which is to send a bill up to Congress for immigration reform, for a pathway to citizenship. We feel very strongly about this.
I used to get asked, well, you promised. No, I proposed. I know how things have changed. If you say something in a campaign, it's a promise to get it done.
So I emailed you about this yesterday and again this morning so that you'd be able to track down a firm answer on two details here. Was President Biden briefed on this idea at the time?
Well, I think I just answered your question, which you may not have been listening. Maybe you were waiting to read your next question, which is fine. But I just answered your question. Let me finish, Stephen, I'm finishing. What I said to you just a minute ago is that we did not have the capacity at the moment. But the market did not have the capacity at that moment to do what we're doing tomorrow.
Yes, I hear what you're saying, but that's not the question I asked. The question I asked was,
do you have another question? I think I've answered your question.
Was President Biden briefed at the time?
Again, I've answered your question. If you have another one, I'm happy to answer it. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next person.
I didn't get answers there, but I'll move on to another one.
Great.
The data indicates that he spent a quarter of his days, at least partially, in Delaware. In light of that, will the White House be reconsidering the decision not to release visitor log information from his Delaware residences?
Well, the president goes to Delaware because it's his home. Presidents go visit their home when they are president. We also have gone a step further than the prior administration and many administrations in releasing visitor logs of people who visit the White House, and we'll continue to do that. Go ahead in the back. I think we're done, and we're going to move on. Go ahead in the back.
President Biden's running for re-election. I expect to support him.
His approval ratings are some of the lowest that they've been for a very long time.
I understand that, but remember, we've just finished the first quarter. We're just starting into the second quarter here. So we've got a lot of time, a lot of work in front of us.
Well, but you only have probably less than a year before you lose both the Senate and the House. All the polls, polls are very bad, right? I mean, the Gallup had a poll recently that showed a preference nationally for Republicans at a 5-point margin over Democrats. You started the year with the insurrection and a 9-point advantage.
No, I know.
In the fourth quarter, it was a 5-point advantage to the Republicans. So something's not right here.
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, et cetera. But if they actually do what they're capable of doing with the force amassed on the border, it is going to be a disaster for Russia if they further invade Ukraine, and that our allies and partners are...
Bull Connor or George Wallace, but you said that they would be sort of in the same camp.
No, I didn't say that. Look what I said. Go back and read what I said and tell me if you think I called anyone who voted on the side of the position taken by Bull Connor that they were Bull Connor. And that is an interesting reading of English. I assume you got into journalism because you like to write.
So did you expect that would work with Senators Manchin or Sinema?
No, here's the thing. There's certain things that are not done. The history books will note it. And when I was making the case, don't think this is a freebie. You don't get to vote this way and then somehow it goes away. This will stick with you the rest of your career and long after you're gone.
It certainly does not dismiss that idea.
whip Steve Scalise, and go Knowles.
Go Tigers, and good to be with you. What a difference a year makes. 1 year ago today, Joe Biden took the oath of office as President of the United States, and he walked into a White House. He had an economy that was poised for a strong rebound. We had border security. We had energy security. We had peace accords between Israel and Muslim nations. That was just 1 year ago today. And what did President Biden say yesterday to give an accounting for this last year? He literally just doubled down on all of the failures that we've seen this last year. If you were even grading on a curve, Joe Biden would get an F for failure. And it's the American people that he's failed. Those hardworking families that go to the grocery store and are paying 20% more for bacon, and he doesn't think that's a problem. When you think about the border crisis, where now every state in the nation is a border city.
Everyone in this committee remembers John Kennedy's withering cross-examination of the poor fellow in this committee, that it will be taught in confirmation schools 100 years from now.
Yes, it's very different, and I don't believe I used those words, Senator.
Right. If you did use those words, will you pull down your nomination?
Senator, I don't believe I've used those words.
But if you did, will you withdraw?
It's hard for me to imagine a scenario in which I would
I'm just
use
saying,
those
assume
words.
it. If you said it, will you withdraw?
If I were, I know that I've crossed the line from time to time, and I.
When you crossed the line, did you mean it?
Without knowing the specific context for me to say, but
do you generally tweet things you don't mean?
Senator Kennedy, I would agree with you that Twitter has become a very coarse place.
I don't want to debate Twitter. Do you generally tweet things that you don't mean?
Well, Senator Kennedy, I've contributed to the coarseness on Twitter sometimes by pushing the envelope to break through.
But when you did it, did you mean it?
It's hard for me to respond to that kind of generally, Senator Kennedy, without a specific
You're a smart
example.
guy. Sure you can. You either meant it or you didn't. You got two choices, door A, door B.
Well, Senator Kennedy, I know that I've pushed the envelope.
Okay.
And
You regret it?
I do regret it, Senator.
Do you regret it because you didn't mean it? Or do you regret it because it might cause you not to be confirmed?